This is The Sports Life.
And the countdown is on. Russell quickly into the front court. All the way to the basket, lays it up and in. 1.9 to go. Iowa by 5. In it comes to Koch. Game over. Fred Hoiberg and Ben McCullum with a handshake. Final score, Hawkeyes 57 and Nebraska 52. I'll tell you what, it's the biggest win in this building in some time, Bobby.
Yeah, it really is.
And welcome into the Sports Life. Will Tiemann along with Dalton Shetler, the tones of Gary Dolphin, the voice of the Hawkeyes. Bobby Hansen, by the way, was a Bobby referred to as analyst, and they beat Nebraska. And think about this. He's talking about one of the biggest wins in that building in a long time, and it's Nebraska basketball, right?
Crazy to think.
Before you know it, Indiana's going to win a football national championship, right? So, Dalton, what do we got?
Well, we got a lot coming up in the show. We're going to be talking with the voice of the Michigan Wolverines for basketball, Brian Boesch, because they're number one in the country for the first time since the Trey Burke days of 2013 there in Ann Arbor. Also, we're going to be catching up with former executive director of the Motor City Bowl, Ken Hoffman, because the Motor City Bowl has come to a close, and we'll revisit the legacy that it leaves behind in its wake.
And also, we're going to reflect on the Game of Change, one of the big events in all of sports. So, Sounds of the Week, what do we got?
Well, let's start off by keeping the party going there at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Head right back to Iowa City, where head coach Ben McCullum was joined by Andy Katz afterward, and this was the post-game back and forth between the two.
Oh, that was awesome. Our guys battled the whole night. We obviously had a rough stretch there, but we battled defensively. Most importantly, we were able to come up with a win.
You've coached Bennett Sturts his whole career. Every time you need him to step up, he does. What did he do tonight to seal this one?
Always steps up. That's what he does. Makes me look like I can coach a little bit. That was awesome. He was awesome tonight. Hell of a win. We're excited. Gonna go celebrate.
Ben McCullum, the head coach of Iowa. It never fails that word defense creeps into every conversation when you talk about having a team that gets better. But big win for Iowa, and they've had some big wins, and they've had some tough ones. But I think that's called life in the Big Ten.
Oh, I think you're right, but that really is going to help boost that resume for the Hawkeyes. That's pretty cool to see. We'll see what they can make of it in this position down the stretch. There was a game earlier in the week between Michigan State and UCLA, and Michigan State simply throttled the Bruins in this one, really from start to finish. And afterwards, UCLA head coach Mick Cronin was a little bit on edge. You imagine probably about a lot of different things. He had this interesting back and forth with writer actually Matt Wenzel of MLive. After the game, it was caught by Owen Ozust, and here's what it sounded like.
What was your thought in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant overall the way that you...
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, I'll take it.
Did you like
you should take it.
The preparation of the...
You really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't
section?
think you care about the other
Are you
team.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just...
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
Not raising.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
Wow, that was special.
It felt very theatrical.
Okay, moving on now with more theatrics.
Let's hear from head coach Tom Izzo, because that was just one of the stories of this one in East Lansing. The other one was Mick Cronin kicking out his own player after a hard foul late on Carson Cooper. Here is what head coach Tom Izzo had to say about Mick Cronin ejecting his own guy.
I felt for Mick, his team's a lot better than that. And I guess he upgraded that to a flagrant 2, huh? That's the first time I saw a coach do it, but that sounds like Mick, so he'll get that straightened out.
Well, the interesting sidebar about this whole thing, Dalton, the player we're talking about who got to flagrant 1 when he landed on Cooper's back is Stephen Jamerson, okay? Now, then he gets booted by his own coach. Okay, there's about 5 minutes left in the game that's already been decided. So he's an interesting story because he's from Los Angeles, and he came to Michigan State as a freshman. His hope was he could walk on or become a team manager. Neither happened for him. He didn't get either one of those spots. So he goes back home to L.A., and kind of a weight guy works out with new Steve Lavin, who had just taken the job at the University of San Diego. And he said, hey, you want to give this kid a shot? He could maybe be a good role player. So at the end of the day, Jamerson puts together a really nice 3-year career, graduates, but he's got 1 year left. So he winds up at UCLA back in the Big Ten, right? Okay. So now he finally gets to play a game at the Breslin Center, which is something he wanted to do way, way back. And he gets booted?
I was going to say, until those last 5 minutes, it feels like a storybook type of scenario. And then your own head coach sends you to the showers early.
It just seems sort of anticlimactic for him. He finally got to play a game here, and then his own coach boots him.
I would agree.
Yeah,
that's tough. Another sound we want to get to here before we close things out. In West Lafayette, the Purdue Boilermakers fell victim to Michigan. I mean, Michigan has destroyed a lot of teams on its path that it currently is set on. Destroyed Purdue earlier this week. Head coach Matt Painter talked a little bit afterwards with the media after suffering this loss because it falls in line with many top teams that they've lost to at home so far this season, and he shared the perspective of how you handle that.
All three of the losses at home to elite teams, but correct. I guess for a team with your expectation level, how frustrating is it to have not taken advantage of one of those opportunities?
Yeah, you have to play better. You have to play better. Like, these guys got us on the glass. Illinois got us on the glass. Iowa State took us to the woodshed. Your final test is in the NCAA tournament. That's the way I look at it. Sure, you want to win those games, but we're not. If we'd have won it, we wouldn't have had a parade, right? We'd be like, whatever. If we win this game, it doesn't mean we go to the Final Four. You got to win 4 games to go to the Final Four. It just puts you in a better stratosphere in terms of your seed. But our goal was to win the Big Ten. These dudes ain't losing 4 games. We got 4 losses. They ain't losing 4 games. So that's just that. That's reality. When you've been in a league for over 25 years, that's reality. When you face up to people like that. But no, to answer your question, you try to learn from it. You know what I mean? But you have to understand, those 3 teams you mentioned, they bring out different scenarios and problems that other people don't bring out. That's why they're ranked the way they are. Because you can be preseason number 1 in the country, that means nothing. But when you're in the middle of February and you're number 1 in the country, it means a whole lot because you earned that one. They earned that. They earned what they've gotten. So we just got to keep earning ours too.
Matt Painter, the head basketball coach at Purdue University. Well, I can't address Iowa State, but I can address Michigan. And here's what we've learned about those guys. One team has beaten them, Wisconsin. How did they beat them? They shot the lights out of the ball. They didn't miss a shot. And the other thing they did, they didn't let Michigan get that big run they always get. They always have this moment where they just put you away. And that's what happened to Purdue going into halftime. There was no way they were going to make up that big gap, even though they made a little of it up. So at the end of the day, don't know about some of the things that Matt Painter faces at Purdue. I agree they're not going to lose 4 games in the conference, but I do know this. If you want to beat them, don't miss many shots and play just a little bit of defense.
That's right.
And speaking of Michigan, up next, the voice of the Wolverines, Brian Boesch, but first a timeout.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor? Yes, I am. Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, I don't think there's much doubt in the world of college basketball who the best team at the moment is, and that's the Wolverines of Michigan. Is they just keep getting better and better and continue to plow through their Big Ten schedule regardless of who the opponent is. And joining us is the voice of that team, Brian Boesch. And Brian, I have one simple question for you. Is it possible this team that you cover is getting better every game?
It's pretty crazy, Will. Thanks for having me, guys. You know, I think where they have really impressed me, maybe better is not the right word, but what they do to solve issues, to correct mistakes, they do it as quickly, as efficiently as I can remember. I'll give you a couple examples. First, Michigan against UCLA, coming into that game, Michigan had rebounded incredibly well in the last 6-7 games. And UCLA outboarded Michigan by 10 in the first half. Michigan only led by 2. In the second half, they were plus 11 on the glass, plus 28 where it counts the most, and won the game by 30. And then against Purdue on Tuesday night, Michigan went up by 16 at the half, which was the exact same margin at Breslin at halftime late January. Now, that game at Michigan State, the Spartans came out sizzling in the second half. They had a couple of leads, and the score of that one, I think, is a little bit misleading in terms of how close that game really was. Michigan State. Michigan State was closer to Michigan. The Purdue game, Michigan probably beat Purdue by more because they just kept the Boilermakers at a distance. It never got closer than 8. It seemed like every punch from Purdue had a counterpunch. For them to be able to rectify an issue that happened in a similarly hostile environment, the next time they were put in that situation, it's incredibly impressive. Now, it's only going to get more difficult. The stakes are only going to get higher. But the way that this team calibrates the issues that they have and fixes them almost in real time is to me, one of the many things that makes this group special.
Well, Brian, I mean, you bring up that Michigan-Purdue game, and on the television broadcast, Robbie Hummel was on the call, and I think we've all kind of, as a consensus, really defer to whatever Robbie has as expertise. I think he's one of the best there is when it comes to analyzing the game, and Michigan had hit a couple of threes in a row, and he goes, you know what, if Michigan's going to be able to shoot threes this kind of well, good luck. There just is no way to beat them. I mean, do you agree with that? Is there a weakness for this Michigan team if they're knocking down threes?
Probably not, Dalton, and it's because of what Michigan does inside the arc. Yeah, I think Purdue probably did as good of a job as any team this year of still making Michigan earn it with a few more tough twos, the other twos, right? Non-dunks, non-layups. But if Michigan's having success from three, and you add that they're one of the best 2-point field goal percentage offenses and defenses in the country, like that's the floor. And when the floor is as high as it can possibly be, when you then add a really high ceiling, it was the second best 3-point percentage under Dusty May over the last 2 seasons for Michigan. That's a pretty lethal combination. I mean, I don't know what the solution is in that spot. And for as good as Purdue is, I love Braden Smith. He's one of the best point guards I've ever seen. Trey Kaufman-Renn, he really grinded through it in that one. Had to shoot a lot of shots, but he got close to 30 points on Tuesday night. But Michigan's ability to force them into having to work for everything that they got, and they thrive in some of those other two spots. Well, if you're going up against efficient twos and frequent threes, I don't care if they're other fours. You're going to have a tough time keeping up.
Well, the Wolverines are sitting on an 11-game winning streak. They're 25-1, 15-1 of the Big Ten lead going into this weekend by 2 games over Illinois. The one loss, Wisconsin at home. Did the Badgers find the super sauce, the magic formula, which was just making all their shots? Is that it? Is that how you beat Michigan?
Yeah. I mean, it helps. I'll tell you. I mean, Wisconsin, what a fascinating resume they have. They've got the best 1-2 punch of wins in the country, with Wisconsin winning in Ann Arbor and in Champaign a few weeks later. Yeah, I mean, I think there always is a solution. There always is a chance to beat any team in the country. Because, shoot, I mean, Michigan's resume is similar to what Duke had last year, and Duke ended up losing in the final. They didn't even get to the championship game. They lost in the national semifinal. But, yes, it starts with winning the 3-point battle, probably having veteran guards who can handle any size or defender thrown at them. That's what Michigan did defensively. I mean, Yaxel Lendeborg defended Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn significantly, right? This wasn't just a one-off, every once in a while type of possession deal. They went with Yax as a stopper of sorts. So, yeah, there's always a formula, but it requires, I think, multiple parts, right? Like, this isn't a one-pager, Will. You need to unfold and sprawl this thing out, and, might be in 5 or 6 different languages, but there's a path, but it's a tough one.
Brian, obviously morale and vibes are pretty high in Ann Arbor, given what we're talking about with this basketball team that's number 1 in the country, and it's the first time they've been top in America since 2013. It's been 13 years, back when Trey Burke and the Wolverines were at the top of the mountain. Are there any parallels between those two teams? And in terms of vibes, how does it maybe compare, or how has it been maybe reinvigorated in comparison to that group?
Yeah, I think what's interesting, Dalton, is that that team started like Michigan did, 20-1. Michigan now has surpassed what was the best start that Michigan's ever had that season, in the 2019 season. And in both of those years, 13 and 19, Michigan kind of stumbled in February and down the stretch. Michigan started 7-1 in the Big Ten in 2013, finished 12-6. And then they got hot, and I mean, that team needed the Trey Burke rescue in the Sweet 16, or it wouldn't be looked at all that fondly. It would be looked at as a team that peaked early, because they were 20-1 and then got hot and got really close to winning a national championship. Yeah, I think what makes this team unique in Michigan history and in college right now is the size that they possess across the board. The fact that you can ebb and flow Morez Johnson Jr., Adai Mara, Yaxel Lendeborg, Roddy Gale Jr. He's a really good defender for 6'4", 6'5", and I think that's what fascinates me the most about what Michigan will have against Duke is how do they go up against, right now, the national player of the year in Cam Boozer, who, I mean, he's been incredible, but he's 6'9", and Michigan they'll have the size advantage pretty significantly in this game. How do they slow him down enough? Do they make him take 20-plus shots to get 20-plus points like they did Trey Kaufman-Renn on Tuesday night? I don't know, but I do know that Michigan will have a good game plan. They've got the personnel, and it's going to be an awesome environment, a great. It feels like a free roll for both teams, right? You hope for both teams' sakes, it's not like last year's where Duke just pummeled Illinois. But it might be for the number 1 overall seed line in the NCAA tournament. And does that make a huge difference? No, probably not. But boy, it's going to be a fun game.
Is it weird to step out of conference this late in the season? Do you think that'll have any impact at all on the focus?
Well, I prefer it for Duke versus, a bye game, right? I mean, that makes it fun, and you're seeing it. We've seen it with Michigan State's schedule down the stretch, Illinois, Purdue's. Once football ends, they really backload these schedules for some high-profile games when college basketball takes center stage. This is another way to do it. I mean, talking to some people from the DMV area, this might be the biggest basketball game in the history of that venue in Washington, D.C. Now, that says something about what the Wizards have been, but it also tells you how big of a game it is.
Okay, when you get back to Big Ten play, you got Minnesota home, you go to Illinois, you go to Iowa, you wrap up the regular season hosting Michigan State. Do you see any stumbling block there?
Well, I mean, it's a tough schedule. Obviously, Minnesota is probably the free square, even though I do like what Nico Medved has done for Minnesota. Going to Illinois, Morez Johnson Jr.'s return, that place is hostile. Illinois dislikes Michigan, and it's probably more firm than the verb dislike. And anytime you play Michigan State, that is a huge rivalry. As I mentioned earlier, that game was closer than the margin would indicate. It was a nail biter until the final 3-4 minutes of that game. So, there are potential stumbles. I think Michigan should be favored against any team in the country. I also probably would be surprised if they went into the NCAA tournament at 33-1, meaning they won out and then won the Big Ten tournament. The league is that good to where it's tough, but obviously they're the heavy favorite to win the league in the regular season. And if they beat Illinois, they'll almost certainly win it outright.
Well, enjoy the ride. It's a special one, no doubt, and good luck against Duke. Thank you, Brian.
All right, Will. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, Dalton.
Some nice insight from the voice of the Michigan Wolverines, Brian Boesch. Well, up next, we're going to go back in history for a big moment. It was called the Game of Change. It's all coming up when we continue.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, Em, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back from Weather Sports Live. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, it's our way to salute Black History Month. On today's show, we're going to give an encore of one of our favorite features of all time, a feature about the game of change. This week's cover story takes us back to March 15th, 1963, and the NCAA Tournament Mid-East Regional. The tournament site location was on the campus of Michigan State University in East Lansing. The site was the Jennison Fieldhouse, and the opponents were the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago and the Bulldogs from Mississippi State. Now, this landmark matchup would come to be known as the Game of Change, and is remembered as the major event leading to the desegregation of college basketball. So, who are the main characters in this amazing sports narrative? Well, you have a couple of basketball teams, one from the north with 4 starting black players, and an opponent whose starters are all white and come from a state in the South that prohibits their teams from playing any opponent that is not all white. The starring roles in this history-making story belong to the president of Mississippi State, Dr. Dean Colbert, and the head basketball coach of the MSU Bulldogs, Babe McCarthy. Now, like all great stories, there needs to be some conflict, and boy, does this story have some conflict. You see, Mississippi State had won the SEC title 4 out of 5 seasons, and leading up to the 1962-63 campaign, the Bulldogs were looking for its 3rd straight conference championship. The conflict? Mississippi State kept earning the right to participate in the NCAA basketball tournament, but due to the state of Mississippi's Jim Crow law, all white teams were prohibited from competing against a team with black players. So, the Bulldogs were prohibited from competing in the NCAA tournament. But change was in the air. Doug Hutton was one of the starters on that 1962-63 team.
Well, my sophomore year, we qualified to go, and we didn't get to go. And they had qualified 1 year before that to get to go to the tournament. And before our season started in '62, our president of the school met with us and told us, boys, if we qualify for to play in the tournament this year, I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure we do that. So that's kind of, what got it started.
And so were you guys surprised when the president said that to you?
Well, he was from North Carolina, and I don't guess he was really, like some of the southern people were. But he just felt like that we deserved that, or our school deserved that. So
Mississippi State won the SEC again, and this time it had the support of the school president and the state's Board of Trustees of Higher Learning to finally play in the NCAA tournament. However, the governor of the state of Mississippi and other leaders did not support this and had subpoenas issued as a way to keep the team from leaving the state. So to keep from being served with subpoenas, the school's president, Dean Colbert, left the state, didn't even tell his wife where he was going, and headed off to Birmingham, Alabama. And Coach Babe McCarthy snuck out of Mississippi in the back of a car, and he wound up in Nashville, Tennessee. So how did the team ever get out of Starkville? Again, Doug Hutton.
Coach McCarthy came and told us, that when the plane landed to pick us up, he was going to send 6 of the players who, I don't know how to put this, but they don't play very much. And they sent him, these 6 people, down to see if the injunction was going to be someone down there, to keep us from going. And that was about 8 o'clock in the morning. And when they got down there, the sheriff, who said that he'd never intended to serve the injunction, against us going, he was not there. So they called the rest of us, and we all ran down there and jumped on the plane. And of course, we took off. And it was really funny when we landed in Michigan and we started out, getting out of the plane. There was a band sitting over at the side, about a 10-piece band, and our manager walked over there, one of them called him over there, and said, "Who are y'all? Where y'all from?" And he said, "Well, we're from Mississippi State. Why?" And they said, "Well, we heard that y'all got arrested and wasn't going to get to come." And we didn't know whether to play Remlin Wreck of Georgia Tech or Haldero State because we didn't know who was going to be showing up to play.
Jerry Harkness was an All-American and the best player on the Loyola team. And like most who played in this game, had no idea at the time of its historic significance.
I had no idea that it would be that big. I think, though, when I went up to shake Joe Dango's hand and the flashes went off, then I realized, I said, "Oh my gosh, this is more than a game." That went through my mind. I said, then I realized that this was history. I mean, not until that time. And I went back and I got a little warm and I just was a little flustered there. And then I went back to the group, the Loyola team, and I felt a little bit better. I got myself together, and then we went to play the game. During the game, I didn't think anything about it. After the game, I did. And when Joe Dan and I shook hands, oh my goodness, I'll never forget that feeling that I had with him. And it turned out to be a lasting feeling because we became the best of friends. We had so much in common. We both worked with kids, were mentors. We both had cancer. And we had all these things in common. So it's ironic and it's strange how one thing could bring you together where at other times you would never, ever come together.
We mentioned earlier that the Ramblers started 4 black players. The 5th starter, a guard, John Egan, was white.
It didn't feel different. It wasn't like as if I'm feeling awfully strange playing against these white guys with these black guys, like it's the blacks against the whites, and what am I doing here? It was never that issue, okay? Because it was just Loyola versus Mississippi State.
And Egan, like his teammate Harkness, at the time did not see the game as historically significant.
Not really. I mean, I knew what was going on in Mississippi before our game. And when we knew we were going to be playing Mississippi, I knew what was going on in Mississippi for Mississippi to come to play us. I didn't know what was going on in Mississippi, in general, but I didn't know the trauma and the dramatics of, them attempting to get out of town. I didn't know anything about those things. All we knew is that it appears as though we might play them. We might not.
Well, the game was played, and Loyola defeated Mississippi State 61-51. And the Ramblers will go on to win the 1963 NCAA National Championship by coming back and defeating Cincinnati in overtime. So, it's now time for Mississippi State to head back to Starkville. Again, Bulldog starter Doug Hutton.
That was really funny, too, because when we flew over where we were going to land, it was cars everywhere, My girlfriend, who I actually married 2 years later, her and their parents drove 120 miles to welcome us back. And when we saw all those cars and when we flew over, one or two of the players said, "You reckon they're going to send us back to Michigan, or reckon what they're all doing here?" But everybody that was, had anything to do with Mississippi State and our athletics was in favor of us going to play in this tournament.
The one thing we have yet to mention in our story is the now famous before-the-game handshake between the two captains, Jerry Harkness of Loyola and Joe Dan Golden, Mississippi State. The reaction to this historic moment, known through its famous photograph, was captured beautifully in the NCAA documentary Game of Change, produced by Gerald Harkness, Jerry's son. Here are the reflections from the documentary from Jerry Harkness, Joe Dan Gold, John Egan, and Chicago Tribune sports writer Bill Jouse.
I looked the captain of Mississippi State in the face, and we smiled at each other and kind of did a little small nod, not really realizing what was taking place.
I went out as the captain to shake hands with Jerry Harkness. I do remember seeming like the flash bulbs went off.
Bulbs were just popping all over the place.
I remember the two guys being illuminated at half court.
The place lit up like Mayor Daley's Christmas tree in Chicago. It was just everybody had a flash bulb. But when those bulbs popped and everything, and I felt the tension, I said, oh, this is more than a game. This is more than a game.
And when they called that the game of change, that's exactly what it was. We'll be back with more of the Sports Life in just a moment.
So, I got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, there's been some discussion for years now that maybe we have too many bowl games. We're having teams with losing records getting into bowl games just to fill slots. Well, as fate would have it, as time moves on, some of those bowl games have left us. And one of those was a game that was played annually in the city of Detroit. But I want to go back to the beginning of it. It was called the Motor City Bowl. And joining us now was the then executive director, Ken Hoffman. Ken, thanks for coming aboard. And I'd like to relive with you the origin of this game, what it meant for it, and maybe go back to the landscape at that time. As we've talked, over 40-some bowls, too many. But when the Motor City Bowl was launched, you were number 18. Can you imagine that now?
Well, Will, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Good to speak with you again after some years here. Yeah, that was 97. We were the 18th bowl on the landscape. Clearly, it was very, very different then, and teams, schools were essentially fighting and clawing to try to get into a bowl game because there were, 36 spots. And today there's like 80. And so that has caused the problem that we now have, which is that there's literally too many bowls for all the teams with winning records. And so each year, over the last several years, there have been 5 and 7 teams in the game. It's harder to promote. It's harder to make attractive. It's harder to draw crowds. And so 3 bowls that I'm aware of have already dropped out, including Detroit, and also the game in LA and the Bahamas Bowl as well. And unfortunately, I think there will be more.
Well, let's go back to the very, very beginning. The first game in 1997. I want to talk to you not only about the matchups and the environment at the moment, but can we talk about the economic impact this game had in Detroit?
Yeah, we were really happy with the results that we had. Of course, the Mid-American Conference was a big part of that. They were the central drawing power for the game. Clearly, all the schools are in that geography, especially the Ohio and Michigan schools, but all of them could, at the time, drive to the bowl game for the price of a tank of gasoline, and that's what we promoted, and that was very strong. What specific question can I answer for you?
Well, when this game goes away, especially when you guys were done with the game after 17 seasons, the loss to Detroit revenue-wise, what was it like?
Yeah. Well, the CVB put out an annual estimate on what it meant to the community, to the Detroit community. And we're talking about, of course, hotels and restaurants and transportation, the things that people spend money on when they go to a game. And so the average economic impact was $20 million per year, give or take a little bit each year. But that's significant, and it certainly was significant back in the 1990s and the early 2000s. So, today you can adjust that number any way you like, but it certainly has to go in the north direction.
Well, Ken, since in some ways we're kind of delivering the eulogy of the Detroit Bowl game, kind of want to reflect on some of the great memories and moments that this has had throughout its 3 decades or so of existence. What are some of the fondest memories you have of this bowl game?
Well, the 2 that jump out right away for me, of course, would be the first bowl game, 1997. We had Marshall representing the Mid-American Conference as the champion, and Ole Miss. And Ole Miss had a running back by the name of Deuce McAllister. He was a freshman back then, ended up playing years in the NFL. But that game started with Marshall kicking off, and Ole Miss scored 2 plays later, kicked off to Marshall, went into the end zone. So Marshall took over at the 20, and on the first play, it was an 80-yard touchdown pass to Randy Moss. You might remember that name. And so it was 7-7, like 40 seconds into the game. And that's the way the Motor City Bowl was introduced to the community. Then the second one, of course, would be, I think it was 2009 or 10. It was Central Michigan and Purdue. And we had over 60,000 people in the stadium. And it was a great game and went down to the end. And the fans loved it. And it couldn't have been more exciting. So those are 2 of the more fond memories.
By the way, the score of that game was Purdue 51, CMU 48. So it was a lot of defense being played there, but it was a great game. And so the other thing that's been neat as you reflect on this, Ken, we mentioned Randy Moss, who's in the NFL Hall of Fame and also the College Football Hall of Fame. And even though it was past your tenure, the legacy of the game can also claim Kenneth Walker. He played in the game when he was at Wake Forest. And, of course, he's this year's Super Bowl MVP. So as you look back at some of these major names, that was one of the great things about having only 18 bowl games, because you always had these great players and these great matchups.
Yeah, that was really, I think, key to the interest level all around the country. And yes, we had great players, great names. Marshall had a bunch of them as the bowl game started, and of course Ole Miss, and then on and on and on. Pitt had what was Donald's name, the defensive tackle, who's all pro.
Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Aaron Donald was in the game, etc. He was MVP of that particular year. So there were so many, and the teams, really wanted to be there. They wanted this reward for a winning season, and that's what it was all about. And you can say, and a lot of people do, that those games just don't matter other than maybe the top few games. Well, they matter to the teams and the players and the coaches and the alumni and the fans. And that's why we were able to draw good crowds. We probably averaged 35,000 over the 17 years. And that's because it was a good product. And we did a lot of good in the community. And really, that's what it's supposed to be all about.
I think that's pretty admirable, Ken. And you talked a little bit about it there. You hinted at it at the top that, just with how much the sport, the times have changed, this whole landscape of the bowl system has dramatically changed, and there's been a few casualties, and it feels like there are more to come. I was curious if you can share a little bit of the business dynamics of why we are starting to see some of them fade out. And I think on the surface, it appears it's really good for the cable partners, the TV networks that have these bowl games. It's really good for the corporate partners of that. But where is it lacking?
Well, what's happening is that the college football playoff is drawing so much attention and is in the process. I'm fairly confident you will see an expansion, not in 2026, but probably in 2027, certainly no later than 2028. And it will go to probably 16 next. But then before the end of the current CFP contract, which I believe goes through 2032, I would certainly expect to see the number of teams in the playoff increase again to 20 or maybe 24. And so, you take those teams out of the mix, and then that leaves teams that would have gone to, let's say, lesser bowl games or bowl games that didn't pay out quite as much. And they're going to be the ones that are taken by the bowls that do pay out more money after the CFP. And so it becomes a financial burden to try to pay the teams and all the expenses that are involved in a bowl game if you have 6-6 versus 5-7 teams coming in that would not have made it to a bowl game in the past. So it's kind of a numbers game, and certainly has to do with the finances of the entire operation.
So, Ken, you think there's a magic number? If we go to 24 teams in the playoffs, how many bowls do you think will be left in that second area?
Well, I think, you're going to probably have to, from year to year, determine how many teams are going to be 6-6 or better. In other words, bowl eligible, or what used to be bowl eligible. And I would certainly think that there's room for 30, maybe even 35. I don't know. But 1 year you're going to have all the bowl slots filled with 6-6 or better teams. And then there's going to be years where there's a half a dozen that are 5-7 because of just the way the records come out at the end of the year. So, I think a good number would be 30, but I don't have a crystal ball that will tell me exactly how many we'll end up with.
Okay, final question. You ready, Ken?
Sure, go ahead.
I always was curious, when you have this idea for this game, and you got some help from former MSU AD and football coach George Perlis, and you go, hey, let's have a December bowl game in Detroit. And so there's no palm trees in Detroit. So what was the reaction to that?
Well, yeah, that was an interesting story, actually. I'm on the golf course. This was in 1996. I'm on the golf course with Jack Ebling and Steve Grinzel, and I think it was Terry Foster as well. And I said, hey, guys, and I'm the SID at the time. I'm the sports information director for Michigan State at the time. We're out playing golf. I said, hey, guys, I think I'm going to start a bowl game in Detroit in December. and they looked at me and they said, are you crazy? Every bowl game in the country is in the South or the Southwest, warm weather, beaches, girls in bikinis and all that kind of stuff. And you want to bring a game to Detroit in the middle of winter? I said, yeah, I think it can work. And we made it work for a good number of years.
Well, Ken, I sure appreciate it, and it's kind of fun to reminisce a little bit because it was a magic moment in time, and it'll be interesting to see where we move forward and what direction everything goes.
Well, I appreciate that, Will. Thank you.
So there you go, some of the reflective moments from former executive director of the Motor City Bowl, Ken Hoffman, as their version of it had a 17-year run. And here's something else they did that was kind of interesting. The Ford Motor Company was the first one to step up to support this bowl. As they moved along, it was either year 2 or 3, and I don't think this has ever happened before. Somehow, George Perlis and Ken Hoffman convinced all 3 automakers to get involved. So you had Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. And then it became truly the Motor City Bowl. That was really something. Hey, by the way, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Up next, our parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt, that's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Fun show this week. It's always good to talk to the voice of Michigan basketball, Brian Boesch. Him and his partner, Terry Mills, have got to be, Dalton, having the time of their life this year. They just don't lose games.
It's amazing.
Isn't that against the rules? You got to lose a few games somewhere along the way. But it's good to talk to him. It was also good to talk to the former executive director, Ken Hoffman of the Motor City Bowl, as the Midwest lost its bowl game. And the game had changed is a piece of history that's always worth talking about and revisiting. Which now leads us to our parting shots. What do you got, Dalton?
And by the way, if you missed any of that, make sure you give us a follow at Sports Life Now on Twitter or X. We'll have all the content of the show posted there. That's, again, at Sports Life Now. But for my parting shot, this actually came out of Bloomington a couple of weeks ago now, but I don't believe we've talked about it on this program. I'm going to read the tweet quoted by Indiana Basketball. Here's the quote. IU Athletics is proud to announce plans for the commission and installation of a permanent bronze statue of the late IU men's basketball Hall of Fame coach, Bob Knight. I don't think you can talk about the game of basketball without really reflecting on Bob Knight. I don't think you could talk about college basketball, certainly. I don't think you could tell the story of Indiana without talking about Bob Knight. So this is going to be a really neat way to honor his impact on all of those things.
And I think whether you met Coach Knight or not, a lot of people have an opinion of him, whether it's right or wrong. And I would recommend, if you really would like a definitive look at him, the good, the bad, and there's a lot of good there, by the way. It's an old book, Season on the Brink. Find it, read it, and that will help you understand a little bit about Bobby Knight. That is a neat thing, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to go, since we're talking basketball, let's visit something that the dean of Big Ten basketball coaches, Tom Izzo of Michigan State, brought up on his radio show this week. It refers to the new dates for the transfer portal. So what they have done now, they have one window in college basketball for the portal. It's 15 days long, and it opens up at the end of the championship game. So that's April, right? Okay. So remember that, because that makes sense for what Tom is supposed to say, because on his show, he was asked about, does he like the new portal and the new date, and here's what he said.
So the transfer portal opened about September. It gets into it heavily about January. And by March, the only thing left is to dot the I's and cross the T's. So it's really hard. And I think that's why you're seeing things go like this now, because so many kids are getting affected right now, you know. Whatever rules they make, if they're going to get circumvented unless somebody has enough courage to say, no, this is the way we're going to do it. And I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime. So I'm going to just keep doing it. So don't bug me about the transfer portal, because it's I feel the way I feel. The date is a better date to most people. Everybody thinks, wow, that's great. These kids right now are being contacted morning, noon, and night. It ends on the date. It's official on the date, but it starts way, 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 way before that with a lot of kids, a lot of schools, a lot of parents.
And that's the way Tom Izzo sees it, and when he speaks, we all listen. And with that, that's a wrap for our show, and as always, we appreciate everybody who tuned in, and we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler, and our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.